All right, my friends, here I am. I'm going to read this for you. I'm going to do one at a time, one poem at a time. The book is broken down into poems and reactions to the poems um, by one of the students. So here it is. I'm going to start at the very beginning, of course. Where else would we start? All right. Wesley Bad Boy Boone, one of our main characters. I ain't particular about doing homework, you understand. My teachers practically faint whenever I turn something in. Matter of fact, I probably got the longest list of excuses for missing homework of anyone alive, except for my homie Tyrone. He tries to act like he's not even interested in school, like there's no point in bothering to graduate. He's got his reasons. I keep on him about going to school, though, saying I need the company. Besides, I tell him if he drops out and gets a job, he won't have any time to work on his songs. That always gets to him. Tyrone might convince everybody else that he's all through with dreaming, but I know he wants to be a big hip hop star. He's just afraid he won't live long enough to do it. Me, I hardly ever think about checking out. I'm more worried about figuring out what to do if I live. Anyway, I haven't had to drag Tyrone off to school lately or make excuses for not having my homework done because I've been doing it. It's the Harlem Renaissance stuff that's got us both going. We spent a month reading poetry from the Harlem Renaissance in our English class. Then Mr. Ward, that's our teacher, asked us to write an essay about it. Make sense to you? Me neither. I mean, what's the point of studying poetry and then writing essays? So I wrote a bunch of poems instead. They weren't too shabby, considering I'd only done a few rap pieces before. My favorite was about Langston Hughes. How was I to know Teach would ask me to read it aloud? But I did. Knees knocking like a skeleton on Halloween, embarrassment bleaching my black cheeks red, eyes stapled to the page in front of me. But I did it. I read my poem. Guess what? Nobody laughed. In fact, everybody thought it was pretty cool. By the time I got back to my seat, other kids were shouting out, Mr. Ward, I got a poem too. Can I bring it in to read? Teach cocked his head to the side like he was hearing something nobody else did. How many people here have poems they'd like to read? He asked. 3 hands shot up. Mr. Ward rubbed his chin for a minute. Okay, he said. Bring them with you tomorrow. After class, Teach came over to my desk. Great poem, said Mr. Ward, but I still expect to see an essay from you. I'll give you another week. So much for creative expression. So here is Wesley's poem. Long Live Langston by Wesley Boone. Trumpeter of Lenox and Seventh, through Jesse B. Semple, you simply celebrated blues and bebop and being black before it was considered hip. You dipped into the muddy waters of the Harlem River and shouted, taste and see. That we black folk be good at fanning hope and stoking the fires of dreams deferred. You made sure the world heard about the beauty of maple sugar children and the artfully tattooed backs of black sailors venturing out to foreign places. Your sweet flypaper of life let us pass the Apollo and on through 125th and all the other Harlem streets you knew like the black of your hand. You are a Pied Piper, brother man, with poetry as your flute. It's my honor and pleasure to salute you, a true Renaissance man of Harlem. Okay, and now we have Tyrone Biddings. He's the other guy, main character. He's going to give us a little snippet about what he thinks about everybody else's poems and what they mean. So, Tyrone Biddings. School ain't nothing but a joke. My moms don't want to hear that, but if it weren't for Wesley and my other homies, I wouldn't even be here, alright? These white folk talking about some future, telling me I need to be planning for some future like I got one. And Reynard agreeing like he's some smart enough to know. From what I hear, that boy can't hardly read. Anyway, it's them white folk that got me with this future mess. Like Steve, all hopped up about working on Broadway and telling me that I should think about getting with it too. Asked me if I ever thought about writing plays. Fool, what kind of question is that? I said. He threw up his hands and backed off a few steps. All I'm saying is you're a walking drama, man. You got that down pat. So maybe you should think about putting it on paper. When that boy dyed his hair, I believe some of that bleach must have seeped right into his brain. I grind my teeth and lower my voice. Boy, get out of my face, I tell him. He finally gets the message and splits. I'm ticked off that he even got me thinking about such nonsense as Broadway. White folk. Who they think they kiddin'? They might as well go blow smoke up somebody else's you-know-what, 'cause I'm a black man, got no chance in this country. I'd be lucky if I make it to 21 with all these fools running around with AK-47s. Here I am, one of the few kids I know whose daddy didn't skip out on him. He didn't even make it to 30. He was doing okay till he got blown away on a Saturday. Blam! Another statistic in a long line of drive-bys. Life is cold. Future? What I get is right now, right here, spending time with my homies. Wish there was some future to talk about. I could use some future. I'm just about ready to sleep off the whole year when this teacher starts talking about poetry and he rattles off a poem by some white guy named Dylan Thomas that sounds an awful lot like rap. Now I know me some rap and I start thinking I should show Mr. Ward what rap is really about. So I tell him I've got a poem I'd like to read. Bring it on Friday, he says. As a matter of fact, from now on, we'll leave time for poetry readings at the end of every month. We'll call them Open Mic Fridays. And I'm going to stop right there because the next time I'll read you Tyrone's poem. All right? So I hope you enjoyed that and I hope you come back to see more tomorrow. All right? I'll see you later, my friends.